Hola, comrades. Today's topic of interest, the end. This is going to be my last video on YouTube for the time being. I've reached the end of a long journey. It's been tiring and exhausting, but it's also been exhilarating and euphoric. There were times when I never wanted this day to come, but I knew it had to. As I make this, I'm confronted with conflicting feelings. I'm proud of all the work I've done, and I hope I was able to help people not only learn about various works of art, but engage with art on a deeper level. However, I'm excited to face the next chapter of my life. This does not mean I'm never going to make another video, and it certainly doesn't mean any of the videos already on this channel will be taken down. They won't be. But this does mean the end of an era. My project to produce a video providing incisive, distinct analysis every week is over. If I do upload a video again, it probably will not be for years. To all of you who watched my videos, thank you. And I hope I can make you understand throughout the course of this video, this conclusion, why I've decided to stop making YouTube videos. So as to properly categorize the jumble of thoughts and reflections I have, I'm going to break this essay into parts, starting with number 1, general remarks. In April 2017, I made my first video under the name The Highbrow Gamer. It was about Pokémon Red and Blue and how they gave the player more freedom than did later games in the franchise. I had been preparing for this for months. The picture of myself I used for my channel icon, I drew in an art class I was forced to take my junior year of high school. I spent a while configuring a Patreon and writing a channel bio and finding just the right background art for my YouTube page. I had all these grand illusions as to what would happen with my channel. Looking back, I should have waited to see if my channel would become a hit before I invested all that time into building its trappings. In my defense, I can say only that I had no idea what to expect. I had wanted to make video essays ever since I became a fan of the Nerd Writer, but I held off for years because I didn't have the proper equipment and because I was too busy with my novel writing. Perhaps my videos would have become more popular if I had started sooner. Perhaps not. YouTube in the middle of this decade was a less stable place than it is now. It was much more confusing. Idiotic and unjustified copyright claims, while still a plague, are less prevalent than they were only several years ago, when they could realistically kill the careers of YouTubers who weren't affiliated with the always controversial and frequently rapacious multi-channel networks. Back then, YouTube's position as the preeminent video sharing platform was not even secure. Throughout the early and middle parts of the decade, platforms like Blip managed to compete with YouTube somewhat. In 2014 and 2015, I watched hours of content on Blip from channels like Todd in the Shadows. Then, in August 2015, Blip shut down forever. And YouTube became not only the most dominant video sharing platform, but practically the only major video sharing platform. However, as I approach the end of this stage of my life, I see no point in wondering what would have happened if I had started earlier. It doesn't help me learn or grow as a person. It doesn't expand my horizons. It's nothing but pointless speculation. Regardless of what could have been, what actually happened is this. My first few videos went nowhere, despite being about one of the most recognizable franchises in gaming, Pokémon. While my analysis wasn't at the level I eventually reached, it was competent enough, and it was not the reason why those initial few videos did more poorly than I expected. Titles like Pokémon Red and Blue, Freedom of Choice, are guaranteed to not receive views unless the channel making them is already established. In contrast, titles like Why Hoenn is the Best Region tend to receive more views. There's a fine line between getting the public to watch the videos of a YouTuber with no support and being flagrantly dishonest. There are titles that no one but a dedicated fan of a channel is going to click on. One must walk the tightrope of making meaningful content that's still going to generate clicks. Not doing so does nothing but cede ground to embarrassingly vapid X things you didn't know about Y lists and repulsively asinine what really happened at the end of Z videos. The other component to YouTube's success is timing. The two most viewed videos on my channel as I'm making this are both about Taylor Swift. They were released in the aftermath of Swift's latest album, Reputation. Now, this does not mean that making videos about Taylor Swift is inherently a road to success. Later, I made a third video about Taylor Swift, and it did not do nearly as well as the previous two. The same pattern can be seen in my videos on Xenoblade Chronicles. I released my video on Xenoblade Chronicles 2 close to the release date of that game, and it became one of the most viewed videos on my channel. Months later, I tried to follow that success by releasing a video on the original Xenoblade Chronicles, and it did pretty horribly, to be blunt. The penalty for not relentlessly chasing views can be vicious. Competition on YouTube is ruthless. After a year of making videos on games, I changed the name of the channel to my name, Joshua Fagan, and started regularly making videos on other topics. The major reason why I switched focuses were that I wanted to expand my horizons and that there weren't a lot of games that both interested me and that I had not already analyzed. But I was also interested to see if becoming a successful YouTuber outside the gaming world was easier than becoming a successful YouTuber inside it. This was not an idiotic hypothesis. Gaming YouTube is heavily geared toward Let's Plays. The YouTube algorithm cares more about watch time than anything else, and Let's Plays generate far more watch time than analysis videos. However, on the whole, my hypothesis seems to have been disproven. I've gotten significant mileage out of Avatar videos, but videos I've made on other works have not done nearly as well. Chasing views is an uphill battle that is frequently unsuccessful and always draining. It's worth doing to some degree because if it works, the satisfaction that comes from knowing people are actually liking and enjoying your videos is cathartic. And of course, for the larger channels that make enough money to support their creators, chasing views is essential. However, I also believe it's vital to make videos that are personally satisfying to create, even if they're not the ones that get the most clicks. For example, some of my favorite videos I've made are my video on the Americans, my video on Impressionism, and my video on Amadeus, even though the amount of views those videos have received is laughable. Making YouTube videos on a weekly basis is exhausting. The writing's enjoyable for me, and recording these has made me a much better and more eloquent public speaker, but the various stages of editing are brutal. If you forsake your values in the pursuit of views, experiencing burnout is inevitable. Thus, it's important to make videos that you need to make. What I mean by need is that you should at least strive to make videos that help you deal with the thoughts swirling endlessly through your mind. If I had a lot of ideas about a topic, and I had a clear idea about how to compress them into a succinct video, I made that video. Simple as that. This is also why I'm making this video, for the record. I know it's not going to be one of my more higher performing videos, and I know a simple farewell message, or even no message at all, would be adequate, but I wanted to say everything I felt about these past 2 years on this platform before moving into the next stage of my life. Number 2. Triumphs. At its best, making videos has been an immensely rewarding process. Seeing my first video be published on the platform gave me such a thrill. After years of contemplating starting an analysis channel, and watching the success of other YouTube analysts, publishing that red and blue video was wondrous. I must have watched that video 5 times after it was uploaded, just so I could bask in the glow of achieving that dream. Aside from that, other milestones I've reveled in have included watching my Hoenn video become a minor hit, watching my 2 Taylor Swift videos hit 3,000 views, a threshold I never thought possible when my first few videos did so poorly, and completing the most mammoth project I embarked upon in the history of the channel, a 2-part video on the best television episodes of all time that runs over 75 minutes total. But those external accomplishments have not meant as much as the internal joy of making these videos. When I start on a video, I seek to expand what I know. I have a general idea for how I want a video to go, but then that skeleton is given flesh and blood by all the research I do and all the structural decisions I make. The first time I discovered the joy of this was when I was making the 3rd ever analysis video on this channel, which was about how Final Fantasy VI synthesizes the fantasy and science fiction genres. My best experiences making these videos have come when they gave me the opportunity to study works or ideas I had always wanted to study, but never had the time or motivation to study. My Avatar videos, while some of my most intellectually polished works, were less satisfying because I've watched Avatar and Korra at least 7 times apiece. There's practically nothing I need to learn about those shows. Conversely, videos like my Animal Crossing video and my Kingdom Hearts video were exciting to make because they gave me the opportunity to ruminate on topics I'd never thought about that deeply before. Number 3. Regrets. While enumerating my regrets, I'm not going to list things that were out of my control. I'm not going to include how the second ever analysis video I made on Pokémon Gold and Silver was taken down by ShowPro, those rapacious exploitative fools who scour the internet for videos featuring even the slightest clips of the Pokémon anime. As my channel was only getting started, I was frightened then. Eventually that fright was assuaged to annoyance that I'd have to re-edit the video even though I had done absolutely nothing wrong. But that's not a regret of mine. I also don't regret the unfortunate period where my academic workload was such that I had to make quick 6 and 7 minute videos about Mario games to meet my schedule of 1 video per week. Again, that was not in my control. There's nothing else I could have done. I don't have that many regrets. Once I realized my videos weren't going to get hundreds of thousands of views, I made a plan to make 1 video a week until I needed to go to college, and I've stuck to that plan. I started these videos in my junior year of high school, continued them through my senior year, and am now ending them in my gap year, a few months before I'm going to leave Colorado Springs and study creative writing at the prestigious Columbia University in New York. Nothing's gone phenomenally, but nothing's gone horribly. Never once has a Saturday passed without my releasing a video. If I have one major regret, it's this. I should have pivoted away from purely gaming-related content sooner. If I have another, it's that I should have dropped the moniker the highbrow gamer sooner. Both constrained me as a creator, leading me to make videos on games I didn't care about as much as I wanted to. But I don't regret not focusing more on becoming popular. Not at all. If I went back in time and told myself to start making primarily Avatar videos, while adopting a silly but appropriate moniker like the Ba Sing Se Scholar, and if younger me had taken that advice, my channel would have done much better, I'm sure of that. But the video making process would have become much more tedious for me, and I would have learned a lot less throughout the course of my video making journey. Number 4. The future of YouTube. I'm both unsettled and encouraged as to where YouTube is heading. Compared to even 2 years ago, it's a wildly different platform. Great channels like ContraPoints and Sarah Z didn't even exist when I started, and they've now become extremely popular. There are also channels like PhilosophyTube and Lindsay Ellis, whose level of detailed analysis has increased stratospherically since I started making videos, and who have seen their subscriber counts rise accordingly. Then there are channels like Just Right and Hello Future Me, who used their success to branch out into different kinds of interesting analysis videos. I don't begrudge any of these channels. They deserve every single scrap of their success. However, I do begrudge vapid analysis channels, both old, like the idiotic CinemaSins, and new, like the presumptuous and overwrought Lily Orchard. These channels disguise ignorance as wisdom and bluster as authority. While I would complain about these videos even if I did not have my own, the fact that they've been so successful while my channel took over a year and a half of my making constant videos just to pass 100 subscribers is infuriating. To those of you who watch these channels, ask yourself why. What are you actually learning? How are you growing as a person from these videos? I'm not saying you have to have a definitive answer for these questions. Not at all. I'm just saying you need to ask them. They're important. I'm not saying this to disparage those who watch these channels. I'm saying this to help these people. I watched the CinemaSins myself when I was a young teenager. I used it to help me write the first book I ever crafted. Constantly, I thought about their complaints as I wrote my novel. Not surprisingly, that novel, though not terrible, is considerably worse than everything I've written since. In large part because I was afraid to be sincere. I want to help everyone who still believes these channels are smart and clever, but especially teens, and especially literary-minded teens. If you want to learn how to write, you should experience good criticism, not insipid, pretentious banality. Watch Lindsay Ellis, watch Hello Future Me, watch It Just Right. On the print side, you should read Todd Vanderwerf at Vox, and anyone at Roger Ebert, especially Matt Zoller-Seist. Also read Alyssa Wilkinson at Vox, and anyone at IndieWire. As for YouTube, I see it as being past its revolutionary inchoate stage. A clear hierarchy has developed, with enormous corporations at the top, big personalities right below them, and everyone else struggling for what space is left. The good news is that YouTube has more or less figured itself out and is going to be around for the long haul. The bad news is that it's more saturated than ever, meaning to stand out one has to be distinct, and too often that means being loud and obnoxious just for the sake of being loud and obnoxious. Number 5. How I have changed. The 3 best videos I've made, not the ones I had the best time making for the record, but the ones I consider to be the best quality are number 3, The Moral Duality of Katara, number 2, La Nuit Americaine and Chronicling Challenge, and number 1, Why the Americans is the Best Show You've Never Seen. There are several contenders for the worst video I've made in this 2-year time frame, but the video that strayed the furthest from my intentions is probably the video I made on summer blockbusters. What does that have to do with the personal change I've undergone? Well, quite a bit, actually. There are 2 major points here. Number 1, I've grown more ambitious and thorough as an essayist. My 3 best videos were all made in the past year. While I never disliked writing essays in school, I always considered the process tedious and a distraction from my novel writing. When I was younger, I thought this was because the form itself was, at worst, inherently dry, and at best, simply not a good fit for my talents as a writer. But I was wrong. I will admit that. The process of writing essays in school was draining because of the time frame that was imposed and how the essays were judged. In regards to the former, a student's writing talent is only roughly correlated to their ability to write a coherent essay in an hour. In regards to the latter, the essays were always evaluated based on whether they contained certain elements, and not whether they were effective and compelling pieces of writing. It's easy to forget to include a certain element when one's essay is only a couple hundred words long, and when one has to write it in the course of an hour. So students would write essays that included all the necessary elements without considering how the pieces cohered. Now I've discovered what essays can be. I've expanded the video essays on this channel from short, relatively straightforward videos to more sprawling and comprehensive works. Some of these have not been great, such as the summer blockbuster video, but even the lesser videos were great learning experiences that taught me more than when I was staying in my comfort zone. They also allowed me to become not just a better video essayist, but a better analyst, period. However, this personal growth has also led to emotional growth, and herein lies my second point. I've become better at analyzing my own feelings and experiences. This does not mean I've become less opinionated and passionate. I'm not more restrained than I was a couple years ago, but I am more nuanced. I've become better at stepping back and thinking about why what affects me deeply affects me like it does. I've become better at thinking about myself and why I believe what I believe and what past experiences contribute to the emotions a given situation evokes in me. Not all of that is because of making these video essays, for the record, but a surprising amount of it is. They've not only helped me become more empathetic to others, but they've also helped me become more forgiving and understanding to myself. Number 6. Closing remarks. Not including this video or the various music compilation videos I had to set to private because of copyright strikes, but including my video on Steven Universe that was wrongly taken down, as well as all the absurd one-off experiments I made, such as my musical video on the Disney villains and my poorly thought out 120-second reaction video to the release trailer for Pokémon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. The total runtime of all the videos I made on the channel between April 2017, when I made the Pokémon Red and Blue video, and early May 2019, when I'm releasing this video, is approximately 1,550 minutes. That divided by 60 is 25.86, meaning I have made over a full day's worth of content in the last 2 years. To put that in perspective, that's longer than the entire runtime of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I don't mean to brag, but for a video essay channel, that's not bad. I thank again everyone who's watched this channel throughout the last 2 years and everyone who will continue to watch the videos I've made in the future. There might not be as many of you as there are who watch the enormous channels dominating YouTube, but I treasure y'all the same. I constantly checked how many people were watching my videos, not because I was a neurotic brat who cared about video X getting 10 views and video Y getting a couple hundred, but because I got a genuine thrill out of knowing that people were watching content I made. It's an experience that would not have been possible if not for modern technology, but it's also an experience that would not have been possible if not for you all. So I thank you one more time, from the bottom of my heart. If you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, I absolutely encourage that. Don't do it to become rich and popular though. You probably won't be, and even if you are one of those lucky few who succeed at winning widespread acclaim, you'll never be happy if you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Contrary to the mainstream media's view of YouTubers as entitled Logan Paul-esque jerks, making a YouTube channel is tremendously hard work, especially in the early going. If you do it because you have something to say. It doesn't have to be something grandiose and overtly political and universally important. It just needs to be something that matters deeply and resolutely to you. Even considering how hard making these videos is, I'd probably keep doing it indefinitely if I didn't have college looming. It's harrowing and wild, and it can be terrifying, but it can also be beautiful and meaningful. I've learned so much about myself and the things I love and the world around me from YouTube videos, and it pleases me to think I've given back in some small way by making videos others have liked. I wish you all the best on the journeys that await you, and I hope you wish me well too. I'm not going to tell you to donate to my Patreon, because I'm at the end of this period of my life that wouldn't do either of us any good. I'm also not going to tell you to subscribe, although if you want to, you absolutely can, and I encourage you to like and comment if you thought this video was worthwhile. So, for the last time, I say to y'all, adios, comrades!